Good afternoon, everybody. Matt Johnson, mattjohnsonsales.com, located at John North Ford here in Emporia, Kansas. It is Monday. It is 12 o'clock. It is time for Car Confessions. I come to you each and every week on Monday at 12 o'clock and discuss some type of tip or tactic for both the salesman as well as the buyer in the auto industry. I also alternate that with interviews with business owners, entrepreneurs, to see what sets them apart from somebody that just punches a clock every day, and what motivates them, what drives them. Today is episode number 24 of Car Confessions, and today's title is Are Wrong Questions Killing Your Sales? Now, this is mostly going to be focused on the salesperson themselves, but a lot of these questions buyers have to take some ownership of so that it helps the process along the way. So a lot of the questions that you're going to be asking, whether they be open-ended or closed-ended questions, are really going to determine the buying process, the value that you're building for that particular customer, as well as how long that it's going to take for the whole process. So, as for example, what types of questions are you asking? Open questions, for an example, is what made you decide to come in today? What is the most important priority or feature in the new vehicle that you're looking for? Those two questions are open-ended, so they are designed to get an extended answer from the buyer. Now, on the opposite end of that, you'll have the closed-ended questions, such as, what question haven't I asked you? Because your typical answer for that is going to be, well, I don't know. Because you're putting the customer on the spot. And most of the closed-ended questions are going to be answered with a yes or a no, and you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to build that value, and you're not going to help the customer along the way. So I talk about 2 articles in here, 7 questions to ask during the sales process, written by Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer, as well as 5 bad questions to ask buyers, written by Grant Cardone. Now, the questions that I'm covering in this are not intended to deceive or manipulate the buyer. These are questions that I mentioned that the salesperson is going to ask the buyer, that's going to build that value, find the solution to the problem, and do it in a timely manner. So, you're not at the dealership for 4 or 5 hours. You can get everything done in a timely manner, hopefully in half that amount of time. So number 1 is, what made you decide to reach out to me? The hardest part of sales, and it doesn't matter if it's car sales, if it's real estate, even sometimes in a retail setting, the hardest part of sales is getting another person to make a decision. And people are hesitant to make decisions based on past decisions that they made. They don't want to make another mistake. We've all been there. We've all made mistakes on decisions. We don't want it to happen again. And it's on a bad experience, or some people have bought a product that they didn't use, whether it be some type of training in the sales industry or some infomercial that you saw online or on TV and just had to have that product. Question number 2, if everything were to work out perfectly according to your plan, what does that outcome look like? Now, this question, asking the buyer this question, they will answer you and tell you how to sell them. And I mean that by, they will tell you how they want to be sold. They will tell you what's important to them and what needs to be done in order to sell them, close them, and solve their problem. So by asking that question, if everything were to work out perfectly according to your plan, what does that outcome look like? That, again, not designed to deceive or manipulate the buyer. It is to really build that value, find out what you can ultimately do to help solve their problem. Question number 3, what is your end goal in working with me? Now, asking this question will help you, the salesperson, as well as your buyer, clarify their intentions as well as yours. So there's too many times, I'm included in this as well, that salespeople have lost deals due to not clarifying their intentions, their goals, the solutions for the customers. So this really helps both parties by asking this question, come to a win-win resolution. Question number 4 is, how much effort are you willing to put in to accomplish this? So in order to come up with a win-win solution for both the salesperson as well as the buyer will have to take some ownership in this as well. So both parties need to be willing to go all in, be open with each other, be transparent with each other, so you can get through the process, have a win for both parties, and it doesn't result in a loss of sale, because a loss of sale for a salesperson is a loss for a buyer as well, because they have to continue searching. You don't solve their problem, so they have to continue the research, looking, talking to people, and you'll do everybody a favor by just getting it done and closing the deal. Question number 5, have you tried to fix this issue before? If so, what did you do and how did it work out? I love this question. Love this question, because that way it gives you an insight of what's already been done or tried to be done. Like I talked in last week's episode with a customer that I was trying to sell and end up buying from somebody else, was a complete disaster, has nothing but issues and problems with the vehicle. Now he is back with me trying to fix the problem and solve another problem, because the salesperson that he dealt with shortcutted, short-stepped, and sold him a lemon car. Question number 6, how bad do you want to solve this problem you have? So I'm going to read that again. How bad do you, the buyer, want to solve this problem that you have? This is a key question for salespeople to ask, as well as the buyers, and the buyers have to be willing to partake in this too, because you have to have the proper motivation as a buyer to get through the process. If you're ho-humming, dragging your feet, it's really going to be difficult, and you're going to get some resistance from the salesperson, because they may be afraid of pushing you too hard, or they don't want to push you. They don't want to feel like they have to drag the information out of you. So as the buyer, you need to be motivated as well. Finally, question number 7, would you like my help in solving your problem? This is a great question for asking for the business, because as salespeople, we don't ask for the business often enough. I'm as guilty as that as many other salespeople, because if they want your help, they wouldn't be there, asking for a solution. So the salesperson has to make an offer, has to make an effort to ask for the business. Now, moving on to the second article by Grant Cardone, 5 bad questions to ask buyers. I loved this article. Every one of these questions I am guilty of asking, and I really try not to, but I found this article, knew I had to do it, because this is truly where we falter as salespeople. Number one question that's a bad question to ask somebody: can I help you? Number one, it's a close-ended question, and you're going to get two responses. Number one, no. Now you have nowhere to go. Number two, it's a reflex response of we're just looking, and that ties into the very first one that I mentioned in the Ryan Stewman article, is people are afraid to make a decision. They don't want to make a wrong decision. So if they just tell you, I'm just looking, just looking, it's a reflex, so it's going to take you off your game. Number two question: what's your budget? Like I mentioned, I'm as guilty of this as any other salespeople, because a lot of times, in whether it's car business, real estate, those are the two biggest ones that come to mind right now. But people don't know. If they're just starting out, if they haven't researched it, they don't know what their budget is. They may say, well, I'm looking for a $20,000 car because I know I can afford $600-$700 payments. So right there, that's contradictory. Now let me flip it for you. On the other side of that, well, they're looking at $40,000 truck, and they want to keep their payments right around $300-$400. So there you've got two great examples of numbers that don't quite add up, asking somebody their budget when you haven't fully gone into the discovery and qualified the buyer. I mean, you're not doing them any good by asking. So buyers, please don't get offended if you hear somebody ask this question. Depending on where you're at in the process and researching, you may know, you may not know. Question number three. I laugh every time I read this question. Are you the final decision maker? I love how terrible this question is, because I have never asked this question, but I've heard other salespeople that have, and a couple times it has been a woman looking to buy a vehicle. I actually heard, and I shit you not, I heard the salesman say, well, why don't you bring your husband in here, and once we talk to him and he makes a decision, we can go from there. Swear to God, heard those words come out of his mouth, and I, as a salesperson, felt that big. I mean, that not only belittled her as the buyer, but me as a salesperson, because now people stereotype all car salespeople with something like that. Needless to say, this customer got up, was absolutely furious, and stormed out. And you can't blame her. But I love how terrible that question is. Question number 4, when are you thinking of buying? And I've asked this question actually not too long ago. And by asking this immediately, in the buyer's mind, puts you as the stereotypical salesperson that is just out for themselves, only sees them as a number, trying to add to your paycheck. While there is some truth to that, as salespeople, we have to pay ourselves first. By doing this, it comes across insincere, and it really turns off the buyer, and they just kind of go into more of a defensive mode and shut down, because now they're just a number. They're just a paycheck to you. So be careful when you do that. because that can really turn people off. Finally, question number 5 for the bad questions. What would it take for you to do business with me today? And this is the number one close you're going to hear in the car business, because it's a simple question. It's overly used, and management will really push salespeople to ask this question because they want the deal done now. They want it done today, whatever it's going to take. Well, asking this as a salesperson, you're not keeping your hands up to take those punches. You're dropping them, giving them a free shot. And as buyers, when you hear this question, you have to wonder, what's the catch? Why all of a sudden now do they want to know what we can do to get it done today? What's wrong with the car? What's wrong with the person? There could be so many questions, so you immediately devalue the vehicle as well as devalue yourself as a salesperson. Again, get lumped into that stereotypical salesperson category. So I mean, this makes the salesperson as well as the buyer uncomfortable, and usually ends in some type of poor results. So just to recap again, for 7 questions to ask during the sales process. Number 1, what made you decide to reach out to me? Number 2, if everything were to work out perfectly according to your plan, what does that outcome look like? Number 3, what is your end goal in working with me? Number 4, how much effort are you willing to put in to accomplish this result? Number 5, have you tried to fix this issue before? If so, what did you do and how did it work? Number 6, how bad do you want to resolve this problem you have? And number 7, would you like my help in solving your problem? So that's on the top 7 questions to ask. Here is 5 bad questions to ask buyers. Number 1, can I help you? We've all done it. We all need to try to get away from it. Number 2, what's your budget? The buyer may not know. You don't want to ask that, and like the examples I gave, get some numbers that don't match and don't meet up. Number 3, are you the final decision maker? Terrible question. Stop asking it. Don't ever use it again. Number 4, when are you thinking of buying? Stereotype right there, and makes you think that makes them as the buyer think that they're just a paycheck to you. And finally, number 5, what would it take for you to do business with me today? So I hope you guys, as salespeople, as buyers, like those questions, really get into not using them, get away from them, find something else. If you have questions on something else that you could use instead of those, please feel free to reach out to me. As is custom in the car confessions, it is time for a confession. So my confession today is these podcasts are hard. There's days I don't like doing them, but I like doing them because I get to help people. I get to reach out to people. So these are harder than I thought they were going to be, but it is completely worth it. So make sure you guys, whatever platform you're viewing it on, I don't know where it's going to be, but hit the like button, hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you leave me some comments. If you're watching this in iTunes, please leave me a review, preferably 5-star. Let me know what I'm doing good. If you feel like you need to leave a 1 or 2-star, feel free to do that. Let me know what I can improve on, because I ultimately want to help improve and help the salespeople get through some of this, as well as help the buyers on the other side of it. Thank you guys for watching. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Matt Johnson Sells. You can check out my website, email me through there, mattjohnsonsells.com, and I hope to see you guys next week. I look forward to hearing your comments and your feedback. Don't forget, smash that like button, that thumbs up button, and have a great week, and I will see y'all next week.